Drop the point. Drop the point. Drop the point. Drop the point. No zero ham bone. Gonna drop the point. Drop the point. No zero ham bone. What is the point? Drop the point.
Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Drop the Point. I am Hambone and I'm joined today by Noel Zero. Welcome back, Noel Zero.
What up, man? Drop the heroes, get with the zero. I know everybody hates and loves that, and it's good to be back. You know, I'm going to be back on the podcast this week. Now that I got my internet in full effect, so it's good.
Well, you were definitely missed last week, but Too Loud stepped in your absence, and that was awesome. I don't know anybody who hates Drop the Heroes. What's wrong with people?
I don't know. I saw it on iTunes. One guy was like, "Stop saying that, no zero." So,
well, newsflash
that guy.
To whoever that guy is, it's not going to happen. But we are also joined today by none other than N64 Josh from the show. What's up, Josh? How's it going?
What is going on? It's Amos's friendliest a-hole. How are you guys?
Oh, man. We welcome your a-holeness to the Drop the Point series. It's going to be great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, guys, just to get a couple formalities out of the way, if you want to submit a question to us for us to answer on Drop the Point, you can send that to onpoint@aimAssistGaming.com, and we will get that. You can also tweet it to us. You can follow us on Twitter @AimAssistGaming. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this week's topic. We are going to be discussing the Taken King reveal that happened today on twitch.tv, showing the strike from the Dreadnought. So we're just going to go ahead and give a little detailed rundown and tell you guys our thoughts and kind of discuss some things as we go. So first off, if you were watching that, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go check it out. I'm sure it'll be up on YouTube or in their past broadcast on Twitch. So the first thing I want to touch on is, what did you guys think about the Sunbreaker class? Mr. Fruit did an excellent job of breaking that down and showing you every slot inside of that subclass. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that.
Well, I was going to let the Titan speak first, so.
Yeah, right. I think you should.
I'll take it from there then. I mean, I am stoked. I am stoked to have a ranged super for the Titan. I mean, you know, the Fist of Panic or Havoc, whatever, they're somewhat ranged, but it's a one-shot deal, right? And being able to drop those hammers, you know, get multiple targets, I think that's going to be awesome. The grenades, they look cool. They look cool. I think I saw in the stream there was a few people that were kind of disappointed that they're reusing nades from the other classes, but I mean, whatever. It's all good. No Titan blink, which, you know.
Thank God.
Did you just say thank God? You did not want to see a Titan blink?
I don't want to see any blinks. Like, I'd rather them just get rid of all the blinks.
Well, I guess if you're looking at it from that perspective, what did you think, Zero? What was your initial opinion of the Sunbreaker class?
Overall, I like it. It looks cool. I've obviously seen a lot of gameplay with it, so the gameplay looks fun, and it actually makes me excited to play my Titan. Not that I dislike my Titan right now. That particular subclass looks like a lot of fun to play, so it definitely makes me want to play my Titan when Taken King comes out.
Right.
I'm not happy to see another fusion nade in the game either. Like, until Destiny incorporates where throwing a sticky nade actually requires like some Halo 2 and 3 like finesse to actually landing them, it's like I don't want to see them, because it's like right now you throw it in a general direction and they're all magnetic grenades and they'll land on the person.
Right. The aim assist, if you will, is pretty high on those, huh? You see what I did there?
Oh, yeah.
A little shameless plug. I guess that's a come on, Josh moment. For me, I would say the overall class was pretty cool. Like you said, No Zero, I will definitely be playing my Titan in response to the Sunbreaker class. I think they did a good job. Again, some of the grenades are but the class overall, I'm definitely looking forward to playing. Right. Josh, we heard No Zero tell us what he thought about Blink. Did you think there should have been a Blink option for the Titan?
I actually agree. I agree with No Zero that, I'd like to see it gone. We do know they are working on something, but who knows how long it will take them to actually, to be able to counter it. they mentioned in one of the past updates about being able to counter blink a little bit better. But you know, I did think one of the ways to counter it is give it to the Titan also. But
Right.
I mean,
See, and I agree with that from that perspective. Like for me, I'm like, just get it out of the game. But if you're not going to get it out of the game, then give the Titan one too. Like, give it to the Solar Titan. Why not? So everybody has a blink option, because now they pretty much all have the same kinds of jumps, but the Titan's still without a blink.
Right, and I just don't understand the hesitation on it. Maybe the class would suddenly become OP. I just don't see it though. I think it would balance the game out if everybody could use it, or like you said, Zero, it just goes away completely. Speaking of the other classes, what did you guys think about the Stormcaller and the Night Stalker? Did you enjoy it, or any one of those three stand out of all of them that you're like, I will be playing this?
Yeah, see, for me, after seeing everything in action and everything, I honestly have fallen in love with my Warlock over the last couple months, and played more and more of it. But like, if I'm rating these subclasses, they're all cool. They're all exciting. I'm ready to play all three of them. But actually, the Stormcaller's like third on my list. Like, I'm like,
Really?
yeah. I mean, for me, it's the Void Hunter has some really cool mechanics. And actually, I was watching this video the other day of someone doing the Shadow Step, where they double circle and they like get behind someone in PvP and backstab them.
Oh.
And I was like, now put those capris on the arm
Capri
pieces.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Put those on and you'll get the extra damage and Crucible. So like you could do some crazy stuff. I'd like to see like how that works with like overshields from revives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's some options, man. It's got some cool options, and just watching how the arrow interacts, where it's like it can instantly kill someone, but beyond that, the even more awesome aspect of it is the CC that it offers. It just like webs everybody. It's a really cool looking mechanic, and the Titan just it's running around like double thoring. Like it's the Hambone Titan. They're double fisted hammers.
Hey, for our viewers, can you break down what CC is in case anybody out there doesn't know?
It's just crowd control. Like things that would be considered crowd control will be like anything that whenever a team is like grouped up, in a sense you could consider a rocket crowd control, because
Absolutely.
It murders everybody.
Nice.
But in this situation, it's going to slow, it's going to bind them, it actually silences them. So like if Thor and the Stormcaller pop their supers, from my understanding, if I then void shot them with my my bow, they will actually be taken out of their supers and silenced.
So it's also suppressive, just like the that one grenade.
Right, and I say silence because that's common like MMO terms for like basically stopping people from using magic.
Right.
So that would be silencing them.
What about you, Mr. Titan? Was it the Sunbreaker that was the best looking subclass to you today, or was there something that stood out a bit more?
Well, I definitely agree with David that the Stormcaller is actually the third on my list, and it's not that it doesn't look cool, and I think it actually plays its role as an arc element very well, because the Titan's arc is close range. I mean, you've got to be close range, and it's not ranged. And same with the Hunter. The Hunter is, I mean, yeah, you can move around and usually get more kills than the Titan Smash will, but you're still vulnerable from a distance. I've sniped Blade Dancers, we probably all have. And that's the one thing that worries me about that Stormcaller. If you're not in close, you are done for. Now, watching it like link between enemies, that looked very cool. And I think in PvE, it's going to be a blast, especially like dropping down into the Crota raid, the very first part, and just linking all the Thrall together. If you end up having a super down there, like I think that would be, literally just lighting the way with your Warlock would be pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
That Shadow Step, I never actually, I haven't seen it I haven't seen it working yet. Is it similar to the dive in Halo Reach, that roll that you could do?
Yeah, it's like that, or like think Halo 4's evasive maneuver, except it's unfortunately it's like another blink. So like the hunter has another option for blink where
What up,
the
hunters?
video I saw where it was being utilized, they were coming head to head, for like, I think they had shotguns out or something, and then this hunter did the shadow step behind, like basically behind the guy, and was able to backstab him. And as soon as I saw, I was like, oh man, there we go. Like, there's a reason they have those, those gloves on.
Could you shadow step rockets and supers, you think, or is it too fast?
That's a good question. I mean, it's possible. The thing I'm curious about is there, when you're shadow stepped, like that brief moment when you've activated it and you're moving, what's the vulnerability to damage? Because if you're invulnerable to damage during that, then yeah, I don't see a reason why well-timed shadow steps couldn't, basically evade a rocket blowing up right on top of you.
Right.
Yeah, which is another reason to use hunter in PvP for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Build them up, bro. Hunter, master race. Speaking of other new things that we saw, I don't know if you caught this last week, but they actually brought out some artifacts. This week, the one that I remember right off the top of my head is Jerome's, his whole ordeal with the void and how it increased and potentially dropped an orb for him from getting void melee kills. And that was the artifact that he was wearing. So what's your overall opinion of artifacts in the game? Is it something that you welcome, or would you have rather they left that out?
I was going to say, for artifacts, like I'm all for ways to tinker with my, Guardian more. I honestly thought, like, the very first time I heard any talk about artifacts in Destiny, I honestly thought they were talking about a weapon class, or like a class of item that was higher than exotic. But so seeing everything in action with the artifacts, I like I said, I'm into being able to manipulate my Guardian more and more and more. Like, some of the stuff I've seen, like where like some of the class items and stuff will have options to do, do more burn, or have more defense when against, when you're solar, or basically take less damage from burns. Like, I like to see that stuff, because like currently, if I'm in trials and someone's playing Sunsinger Warlock, they pop me once with the Thorn and they get their Firebolt on me, I'm done, right? Like, there's nothing I can do. I'm dead.
Right.
I just have to alert my team. I'm about to go down. I'm going to burn out, and try to get in a position where they can revive me easily.
Absolutely.
But with these options, you're getting into a position where, okay, so I can, play solar and have more solar defense, or I can actually, I just want to mitigate what the burns are doing to me. So I can actually say, hey, I don't want to take this burn damage. And I think this is something you're going to see a lot in trials. And I think that what they're going to have to do is classify, if Thorn were to carry over to, and I don't believe it does. I don't believe it's on the list of carry overs to year 2. But if Thorn did carry over, they need to classify what kind of burn that is. Because right now it's assumed it's like some kind of green, like poison burn, which has really no elemental property in Destiny based off of how they've set things up.
I think they would have to classify it like they're going to do the smoke in the Hunter's class. So, because under the description there, one of the features was the poison. And that reminded me of the same type of dot that you get from Thorn. Or if it's not that, I guess it would be similar to the Wizard's Cloud that they put out. So I bet you they would have to classify it somewhere along those lines, but I agree with you. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I think they're great. I mean, right now it's kind of it's a struggle to get your armor exactly how you want it with your intellect, your strength, and your discipline. So it can be done, and it adds to the longevity of the game if you're getting into that depth. But for the more casual player, it gives them the opportunity to maybe wear more of the stuff they want versus wearing based on necessity. And
so you're saying their outfits can look good?
Yeah, they can, they can rock all the bling they want. And I'm really digging all the new, like the way the Dead Orbit and the factions look. They look really cool. I mean, we look like walking billboards, but I mean, they look cool.
Right.
So, no, dude.
But awesome. I think it's great. And especially, adding what did he got? He got an orb for a melee or a chance for an orb on melee. I mean, that kind of stuff's cool. And will that carry over to PvP? I'm not sure, but
right. For me, I was definitely excited to see it, and just from a content creation standpoint for us, it gives us more to talk about. You know what I mean? A lot of times when we get in there and we do the show on Friday, we run through the update, give a couple tips, but when they break into this type of game and how there's so much detail now, we have content for days that we can discuss and let Null Zero enlighten all of us. So
exactly.
I am definitely looking forward to the inclusion of artifacts and seeing how people get creative with building their characters. So after they discussed all the breakdowns and everything in the subclasses, we finally get into the strike. And at the very beginning of the strike, Mr. Fruit just runs straight up the left side of the map, right past all the enemies before he comes back. I'm assuming for the purposes of the stream. But a few people in our stream were like, oh my goodness, it's the same mechanics. You can run straight past them. And I just want to point out that was the beginning of the map. So as we know, when you enter a strike, those missions, they're public at the beginning. And it's not until you get into the darkness zone that you actually face the right level enemies and so on. So I don't really see that as a big problem in case anybody out there was like, what the crap, dude? Anything you guys want to say on that one?
I don't have a problem with being able to skip certain parts of any mission. Honestly, I think, when you first play stuff, you're going to play it to get the experience. But as you go through, think to the future. Whenever you're, playing the Vanguard playlist or whatever, trying to farm whatever materials, items, anything you need, you want to be able to get through these things as fast as possible. And the more you've done them, the more you want to be able to get through them as fast as possible. So I like the opportunity to be able to go in, enjoy my missions the way I want, the way they were meant to be played the first couple times. But then later, when I'm trying to get done and get stuff I want to be able to power through these things as fast as possible. When I play Vanguard, I always get frustrated when I'm playing by myself and I get like two guys that are like, oh, let's do this and this. And I'm like, dude, come on, run past it. Like,
right. Absolutely. Anything you want to add on that, Josh?
No, that was the one thing I saw. I saw Bife tweet out that he was a little upset that the strike overall seemed short. Right. But
It definitely did seem short. And, I think you and I had discussed this right before we got on air, is that's okay. For the reason that Zero just mentioned, that's okay. And even from the fact that people were saying bosses were bullet sponges and they take all this time, with the interesting mechanics that we actually saw from this strike, I don't think anybody could handle a 30-minute strike of that proportion. Let's break that down. So they get into the strike, the very first part. And at the beginning, I thought that the mission looked very similar to the Valis mission, the strike that everybody hates, the Valis Turek one on Mars.
It looks similar to that opening.
Yeah, it definitely did. And at that point, I was a little bit worried that, we were in for a lot more of the same. But lo and behold, when they actually got to the real boss fight, everything changed. There were so many interesting things that I don't even know where to start. So let's just start with the fact that there are two bosses.
Yeah.
There are twin bosses. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. We've seen that before with Scions on Mars. Well, if you're on PlayStation, you've seen that.
Wah, wah.
Well, Josh, you can see it in September here, so
Right.
You're not too far off. But there are two bosses there, so that's pretty sweet. And let's talk about them for a second. What did you guys think about the two different bosses that we saw?
Well, I think starting off, watching the one guy that pounds the ground, I was like, well, this is a little weak. Like, he seems a little weak, right? And I was like, then, the other boss came out and he was just like shooting up in the air. And I was like, okay, well, he seems kind of weak. I think that they need to tune the health at which point they retreat.
Yeah.
Because the interesting part was when they were both fighting together. Like, that actually became an interesting fight, because you were trying to avoid these shots coming from the sky. And then next thing you know, these other guys would literally go and slam down on the ground. And this other guy's slamming down on the ground. So you're like trying to juggle these things. And it was, they mentioned not too long ago raid-like mechanics in strikes. And I didn't really see any raid-like mechanics in this strike. But that part was interesting once they started fighting together. And the second part that was interesting is once one died and the other one basically inherited the abilities because he he got the little heavy armor or artillery pack on his back with the other thing that was on his back already, and so he was able to shoot his shots up in the air and slam down on the ground. So I think that they should adjust the health maybe 33% because they were getting these guys to half health or below before they would actually retreat. And then once they were both fighting together, it seemed like it was well, now this guy's already so dead, it's not a big deal, we got him. And I don't know, so I think that they should maybe tune that a little bit, make it a little bit more of the two bosses that you have to fight and a little less of solo than the team.
Right. What about you, Josh? What'd you think?
I loved it, dude. The fact that he put the other guy's gear on when he was done, it was totally Voltron. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and Google that. You'll thank me later. And I just the whole thing was great. I mean, and it's fast, which I think is good. I mean, if you can grind, 5 or 6 strikes in an hour versus 2, I think of all, you're going to get more gear, you're going to get better gear, you're going to be able to get the marks and all that stuff. And I think it kind of helps with the grind somewhat. So, and the boss mechanics, they were great. I loved it. I do agree, having their health, just when they retreat change, I think that's a good idea, because and even if we saw it in 15% increments where the battle actually went longer, maybe they came out twice and then together and then right. So on and so forth. I think it's great, but I mean, I love the innovation. There's not a corner to hide in, right? At least, we didn't see one there. They played it properly, and I mean, I think Bungie realizes the way we've done some of these things where we hide so that we can make sure they happen, especially on Nightfalls and stuff like that. Strike on exactly. Nightfall, that's going to be brutal. And,
oh my gosh. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely.
Bring it. And good that it's short. So that's I literally wiped on Nightfall, which I think we should be, right? It should be challenging us, and to have to jump back into that one, that's cool. It's only 10 minutes. It's only 15 minutes, whatever.
Yeah,
it's that kind of risk and reward thing, and I'm all for it. I thought it was great.
Absolutely, dude. I really enjoyed that the two different bosses, kind of like Zero said, they definitely complemented each other very well. While you're dodging the one boss is a lunging kind of smack the ground, and anything in that AoE is going to catch that damage, or I assume if he touches you directly, you would die. And then the other guy is shooting mortars. The circles are indicating where they're going to drop on the map. So not only are you dodging this guy who's lunging at you, you're also dealing with the mortars that are coming down from his brother. Right. And since we're talking about it, did you see the sword play in this freaking reveal?
Yeah, I was really disappointed because the guy was like, "Oh, what?" I think it was Mr. Free. He's like, "Oh, look, what does this do?" And he popped out, and so you hear that. I knew what he was talking about because I'd already witnessed the sword way at the beginning of the strike.
Right.
But then I was like, "Why aren't they showing it? This should be the kind of reveal for it. Hey, look at the sword." But they showed a little bit of it and not much. From by the time the guy that got over there and looked at him doing stuff with it. It was he was pretty much out of ammo.
Right.
So it's kind of I wanted to see more. Why didn't definitely. You show me more?
For anybody that missed it, they basically, it was at the end, so don't blink because you might miss it. They waited until the bosses were pretty low for them to actually reveal the sword, but we didn't actually get to see any of the movements with it. I could hear it, I could see the damage that it caused, but I didn't get to see if he moved the same as when you're doing Crota, or if it's any different because it's a different kind of sword. Also, as Zero just put in there, it definitely took ammo, so you need your heavy ammo to get that thing moving. And that's interesting. So it's not something that you can just spam the entire time. And then he blocked some of the incoming damage from one of the ads in the room. And then, that's where we were. So I thought it looked cool. The potential for it is definitely there. I definitely want to play with it. I can't wait to see how you're going to use that bad boy in PvP. That is going to be outstanding, and I'm sure it'll cause a lot of people to be rage quitting.
Oh, if you're deflecting rockets, man, that's gonna be glorious.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Drop the Point. We have so much more we can talk about, but we're going to save that for the podcast this Friday. So if you like these types of conversations, don't forget to check us out every Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/Aim Assist Gaming. I'm Handbone, he's No Zero, and the other guy there is Josh. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you when we see you.
Live that Phobos life.
Later.